Hello, everybody. It's a special day today. You've got Matchmaker Laurie and Matchmaker Jessica here with you, and we're going to share some of our stories on how a matchmaker can benefit you. Because people just think, I want to meet someone naturally. They think life is a Disney movie. They're going to see somebody across the room, and they're going to fall in love, and they're going to live happily ever after. And actually, doesn't always work that way. So sometimes you need a matchmaker, and we're going to actually tell you the advantages of having a matchmaker. So I'm Matchmaker Laurie from Seattle. My website is seattleshotgun.com. And Jessica, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Matchmaker Jessica. Fass. My website is fastpasstolove.com. FASSPASS, tolove.com.
Okay. And you're in California.
Oh, and I'm in California. Yes, Los Angeles. But we both work internationally, worldwide, so we can help you no matter where you live.
Right. So my first story is all of my matches have been long distance. And this morning I woke up to an email that said, "Hey, Laurie, we're unofficially engaged." And I am like so happy today, over the moon with happiness, because this is really a beautiful couple. And I want to tell you this story because the first date in a long distance relationship is generally over the phone. And so we call it a phone date. And I have people set it up in advance. The guy texts the girl, they put aside an hour to talk, and they make it a date. They're not double tasking. So at the end of the date, the boy gets back to me and he says, "Hey, it was a great date." And the girl gets back to me and she says, "I don't think so." I said, "Why? It's just, why?" She says, "Well, he's a Baal Tshuva, which means, he's kind of new to Judaism. He's only been religious about 5 years. And she's religious from birth, what we call from birth." So he was like, he's very excited about his Judaism. And she's like, kind of going along her Judaism as a way of life. I mean, she loves Hashem and it means a lot to her, but to get involved with someone who's newer to it, she just, based on past experience, she didn't think it would be a match. And I said, "Well, why would you judge him based on past people you went out?" That's kind of like what we were talking about before, like having a type. Mm-hmm. And I said, "He really enjoyed talking with you. Would you give it another chance?" So they had a Skype date for their second date. And you know what? They had fun together. And they had another Skype date, and they had more fun together. And then she traveled to meet him for a Jewish holiday. He traveled to meet her a couple weeks later. And now they're both in Israel together for their third time together, and they're engaged.
Amazing.
And if they would have given up based on the first phone call, they would have missed out on something special. So that's one story that's really powerful, I think. Okay, so the matchmaker helps decide if you should go forward or not go forward. That's one advantage of the matchmaker. Okay, Jessica, tell us.
One benefit of the matchmaker is being there and helping push you if you are thinking about giving up, just like a personal trainer at the gym. Because we know if you should give up, if that is that too heavy for you, or can you handle it? We're going to be there to tell you if we think you can handle it. So I love that story, Laurie. Story Laurie. That should be your nickname because you always tell good stories. So mine is similar to Laurie's in the theme, in that I introduced, I think it was the second match I ever made. I have 8 marriages right now. So she was from Holland. He's Israeli. And I told, this was kind of more natural at the beginning of my matchmaking career. And I said, "You should invite her to sit next to you at my stand-up show tonight." And he laughed and he said, "Oh, Jessica, don't tell me what to do." But I was like, "You're going to like her, so you should invite her to sit next to you." So he's like, okay. He saw her and then he's like, "Okay, I'm going to invite her to sit next to me." And I said, "And ask her out while she's sitting next to you." And he's like, "Geez, so pushy." But he trusted me because he had known me a while. And I had known her from doing a Massage program together, living in Israel. So I knew that probably they were going to like each other. So that's the thing. The matchmaker kind of has to feel like your friend, your confidant, like really know both of you and get a sense for who you would like. And that's just our intuition given from God, and we're lucky to have it. So please trust us and don't question us when we say give this person a chance. So he did ask her out. They went on the one date. And then I followed up and I said, so how was the date? So another benefit of the matchmaker, we follow up. We don't just leave it to chance and let people disappear on each other if they just were having a bad week or busy and didn't get to calling the person. So we find out what's really going on. So I said, what happened on the date? Well, she was nice, but I'm not going to ask her out again. I said, why? There was some reason, I won't disclose it, but there was some silly little superficial reason. And I was like, that's a reason not to go out again? And he's like, I'd rather not. I said, okay, well, you have to tell her. And he said, why do I have to tell her? It's one date. And I said, because I'm the matchmaker in the middle and you're both my friends and it's going to make me look bad. It's just not nice. It's just not good dating karma besides that. And and I said, and you're going to have to all hang out again because I'll invite you to things. So this one, he really couldn't disappear. In real life, we do have that opportunity more to disappear on each other, but I highly encourage that we don't. And if you hire a matchmaker, you will not be allowed to. So I said, you need to tell her thanks, but no thanks, basically. So I said, I prefer you call, but he decided to send a Facebook message and said, you were a nice girl, but not for me. But because they had to stay friends because they were in my social circle and I invited them to things, they stayed friends for a year. And then he had had a chance to date other women. She dated other men. And then everyone was kind of saying, all the mutual friends, like, you have like the perfect match right in front of your nose. What's wrong with you? And then so he came to me and said, do you think I could still ask her out? Like, will she get offended? You know, at this point I'm coming back. And that's a very sensitive thing. I think a lot of people meet at their Jewish singles events, Shabbat dinners, and they become friends first, a lot of them. Mm-hmm. And so then they are afraid to take that leap and jump. So, or they've met someone like once at a social function. So that's where a matchmaker also comes in. We can go and try to ask that person what they really think of you if you are a little shy. Because again, you're going to have to run into them again. And if they rejected you, you might feel uncomfortable. But if it went through the matchmaker, it can save you face a bit. So right. He had me. So I went in between and I said, do you think you could give him another chance? You know, he's not sure why it didn't work out before. He admits he should have given it more dates. And she said, yeah, I always wondered about us. And there was actually a fortune teller walking by at that time. And I said, let's have him read your fortune. I'm going to pay for it. And he did say something. He probably says it to everyone. It was a cafe in Tel Aviv. And he said like a male friend is going to like try to take it to the next level, something like this. And we were cracking up and I did not pay him to say that. Again, it's probably his standard thing to all the single ladies sitting at the cafe. And I was like, okay, this is a sign. And I told him what the fortune teller said to us that night. And I said, so here's what we're going to do. Invite her over for the Friends movie night. And me and the other friend will say that we're busy. And then you can say to her, what did the fortune teller say to you and Jessica? Like, I heard you went to a fortune teller. What did he say? And then you can kiss her. So I literally, this one, it's not usually this word for word. I can give you a script, but this one was really happenstance and good fortune that I could like give him this little script. And they were together ever since. They got married a year later. So 1 year of friendship, 1 year dating, married. They live in Holland now, and she's pregnant with her second child. So that just shows you about all the lessons about why it's important, why it can be helpful and important to use a matchmaker or a friend or a relative, someone in between to kind of coach both sides, or a mentor, because you want to give up too soon and you need someone to kind of like push you and challenge you, like, why are you giving up on this? And two, also, like, if you have just been friends with someone for a long time and you want to take it to that next level, because sometimes it is good to start as friends and there's less pressure and you can really see if the values, I kind of say I wish everyone could start as friends and then see, but these days, especially when you're in the starting to get early mid-30s, you don't have time for just friends. You want to know, is it romantic or not, or move on. But if everyone could just take a breath and slow down and try to get to know the person as friend, and you don't need to feel that immediate chemistry and make out with them right away.
Right.
So this shows, I think, all the reasons why a matchmaker can be valuable.
Okay, so I had a thought about that. Oh yes, when you said that, as a matchmaker, I believe in a principle called momentum dating. And that is, you take somebody out 3 times within 10 days before you say no. Because your matchmakers put a lot of effort into thinking of a good match for you. And to reject somebody after the first date, like this guy who you're talking about, if he maybe would have committed himself to going on at least 2 to 3 dates within 10 days before he said no, he may not have had to wait a whole year to realize she was the right girl for him, because not everybody's their best on their first date or the first phone call. You know, you got to give people a chance. So I do believe in momentum dating, and like this stuff about dating just on a weekend, every weekend. That's not enough. You need to date at least twice a week. We're dating for marriage in the Jewish world. We're not dating for fun. We're dating to get married, make a family, be a Kiddush Hashem, sanctify God's name. You know, there's a purpose for getting married, and it's not just to go out and have fun. That's why you get a matchmaker, because you're serious about dating. Okay, so I have another story. And again, a long distance relationship where I think it was the second or third Skype date, and the two people across the country from each other were having a really serious talk about Judaism. And it lasted over an hour, and they both got back to me after the date, because this is what people do who use a matchmaker. After the first few dates, they get back to the matchmaker to see what's going on, what they're thinking. And they both said to me, "Oh, Laurie, she's so serious. Oh, Laurie, he's so serious." Like, they thought, "Oh my gosh, this person is just way too serious for me." But when they realized they were having a serious conversation, and they were able to get a little advice, like, "Okay, on your next Skype date, why don't you lighten up a little and just have more relaxed conversation?" So they did that, and thank God, after 6 months, they got married. So that was, and they have a baby already. So that was my first baby.
That's amazing.
That was very exciting. So that was another story, and just I have a short story, and then we'll have one last story from you, Jessica, because it's really, really short. I had a long distance date where the guy actually flew down to California from Seattle, and he had holes in his pants. I mean, 30-year-old executive kind of guy, but like, he's not a dresser. And she says, "Should I be concerned about that?" Like, and I said, "You know what? A, when you're married, you can dress him. And
Sure.
B, you know, that concept, people, I read this in profiles a lot. People want someone who's called put together. Like, it's so important. Like, what is it? You have to show off your spouse, your future spouse, to the rest of the world. Is put together going to take out the garbage for you? Is put together going to pick up the baby at 3 o'clock in the morning? Oh yeah, they're all dressed and spiffy looking, and their you know, their shirt matches their pants, and they're wearing, they have to be put together to be a good spouse? I don't think so. So I think people need to really examine what their values are, and try to match on values and not the exterior values. Anyway,
100%.
that's my last story. And Jessica, finish us off with a good story of why people would benefit from having a matchmaker.
Okay, sure, Laurie. Your stories are amazing too. One of the matches I'm most proud of is a recent one who he was a gentleman like in the 50s, still wanted kids. So we had to do a worldwide search, because I do find Americans are more closed-minded on an age gap. That women really don't want to date like even more than 7 years older. Sometimes I don't know where they get that number, but I really encourage 10 years, being open to 10 years gap. But, you know, not everybody's going to be open to that. But just if someone feels youthful, give them a chance. That's what I'll say. If they feel like they're on your level and they're active. But anyway, so I did find a woman in Brazil that had been used to dating older. And she actually was only half Jewish from her father's side, but she wanted to do the full conversion. She just hadn't done it yet, but she had been looking for a Jewish matchmaker. Like, she wanted to marry Jewish. So she knew she was going to do it. So at first he did want like purebred, you know, already Jewish, but you know, he realized through working with me, and I even brought in other coaches, like he had to let more things off the list or he was going to stay single. Because unfortunately I do work with other gentlemen in the 50s and 60s that still want kids. And I say, be more open. Maybe it's going to be adoption. Maybe you're going to be a stepfather to her kids. But finally I got this gentleman to be open. And once he was open to all of those ideas, surrogacy, adoption, so guess what? He got the biological kid. So I think it was like even energetically being open. So, and also there were cultural differences. There was also kind of, she was living with him, and then he needed to make that like a 3-month period. You can be here and then you have to go back. And me and the coach kind of pushed him, the relationship coach, like bite the bullet, well, we analyzed it. We said, what do you love about her? And we're like, ask her to marry you. It's ridiculous to send her back to her country again. Like, what are you waiting for? You want kids. You've waited this long. We tried people all over America. Like, just because maybe you, in your mind, you had it that it was going to be American background too, you know, maybe that was like scaring him a bit, but he actually really loved learning about her culture. It was really opening him up and giving him so much more. And he loved knowledge and reading and learning. So it was giving him something else to learn. And so, yes, they got married. It was even her first time in America when she did come to try staying with him. And they have a baby right now, and I need to go meet this baby. But if they had not been open to the coaching as well, because Laurie, you kind of do both. And then when it gets really deep, I send them to like a marriage family therapist / relationship coach usually. So, and they go deeper with them because I'm not trained for that. So if he hadn't been open to that, they would probably not be married to this day. He had to be open to taking stuff off the list, open to traveling, and open to the coaching. So completely open.
I think, Jessica, I think that you really summed up right there some of the best reasons to have a matchmaker.
And the long distance, like we both do. You really need the matchmaker in the middle to gauge the temperature of the other person, because it's so vulnerable to travel for the person, you know? So you really want to see how the person's feeling before you get there. And then once they're like kind of on land, I say, I feel like I'm more on call, like that first week, like, how is it going? You know, right. It's like the prep, and then they're there and it's like, oh my gosh, they're finally together. And we want to make sure that things stay good from those internet interactions, because things can change from the internet to in person.
Right. So, you know, this might be a strange analogy, but I'm thinking of if you go to a financial planner, sometimes you have to ask the question, what did I not ask? What am I missing? Because as the person going to an expert, you don't even know what the questions are. And sometimes you don't know the way to look at something. So if you're going to somebody with some expertise, then everybody benefits, because they help you ask those questions that you didn't even know you should ask. And they help you see things you didn't know you should see. And I think your last example is so beautiful, Jessica. And congratulations on that match. And all right, this was fun. So anybody who wants to comment, let them comment. And Jessica can be reached at her website. I can be reached at my website. And we thank you for watching.
Yes, and also on Facebook, Jessica Fass, and Laurie, if you want them to find you on Facebook.
Seattle Shotgun. Okay, very good. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for watching.